Welcome back to the SpaceInfo Club. Thanks for listening us on Spotify and all the audio streaming platforms. And if you're looking to the video on YouTube, thanks for watching. Let's start. Today we talk about three different topics. And the first one is iSpace, which is letting us talk by the company, particularly iSpace US. Because iSpace US announces official launch of data relay services enabled by two relay satellites. Indeed, these two relay satellites are two spacecraft going to be built by the iSpace US company, which is the subsidiary of iSpace, the same company which launched the Akuto R mission. We'll talk about this later. And the important thing why I'm precising, I'm letting you know that I'm talking about the United States subsidiary of the company will be clearer to you in a moment. But firstly, let's talk about the mission. Well, the mission is made up of launching two spacecraft, two communication spacecraft satellites around our natural satellite, which is the moon, clearly. And these are important because they aim to bring telecommunication on the moon. Particularly, they're envisaged as the bridge for communication for future mission. They are not clearly as the commercial nature of the missions of iSpace itself is to bring commercial businesses on the moon. And one very important thing is enabling communication. So there are going to be commercial spacecraft, commercial services. Clearly, I'm talking about communication. So as you can see on their website and at ispace-us.com, you can see this statement and this article of April the 25th, 2024, just less than a week ago, where a computer-generated image clearly shows how the mission, what's about the mission, what's the content of the mission, and yeah, we can see that. As said, this is going to be a communication mission. As I was saying before, the services, the telecommunication services, which are going to be released and supplied by the company, are going to be to stay under the commercial point of view. So, company will be able to use these services as they prefer, as they will to exploit their services, their activities on the surface of the moon. And particularly, as you can see at the bottom of this image, the communication will enable let's say intra and intercommunication. What I mean with this? Well, the communication will enable services, data exchange around the satellite. Clearly, at the beginning, with I wouldn't call this a constellation, but technically it is, because you have more than one satellite around the moon. So you have two of them. So data will be able to be exchanged between these two satellites and between I would say users on the surface of the moon, but also data relay will be available. So maybe in a second phase, because you need a ground station which will be on the surface of Earth. So let's say this is the intercommunication part, because you can relay data from the moon to Earth, and this is very, very interesting. As I was saying at the beginning of the episode, I was specifying that I'm talking about iSpace US, so the United States subsidiary of iSpace company, which is based in Japan. And I'm saying this because all the development of this program is under NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services, CLPS. So you need to be an American company, or at least to be an American subsidiary of another company. But technically speaking, you're again an American company, so you can get access to CLPS CLIPS program. So you can get money, basically, so funds to finance your projects. And this is actually a very interesting project. And again, enabling communication is something we strongly need maybe on the same level of having the capability of extracting resources from the surface of our natural satellite. Maybe this let's say this benefit, this capability is on the same level of importance of that resources extraction. So yeah, this is the framework in which the company iSpace US got the funds. And but maybe you are wondering how many funds. Well, we can get this information from an article on payloadspace.com, where iSpace is said to have received funds for their lunar mission of something like $45 million for the lander missions. Well, actually, I've mentioned iSpace. And before going on, well, this is just an information of how much money they got from NASA's CLIPS program. Well, indeed, to be more precise, iSpace US is a subsidiary, as I've been saying something like for the third time, of US Japan. iSpace Japan, which is the let's say the mother company, while the US subsidiary is part of is not a company by itself, is part of a consortium led by the American firm Draper, which itself won a $73 million NASA CLIPS contract some months ago to land scientific payloads on the far side of the moon, and this is very, very important again, because again we are seeing how there's two different capabilities of being able to both communicate and extract resources are important in a point of view of space missions on the moon particularly. Again, the third capability is just subsequent of resource extraction, which is resource utilization and being capable of moving these resources. First thing, as the communication. First thing, you move the resources on the surface of the moon. You can use them in situ, as we usually say, and then maybe you can just bring the resources back on Earth. But I understand, well, everyone should understand that when we are talking about, I would say moon mining, but actually is not mining in a broad sense, not the same sense we are used to here on Earth, but just resource utilization. This is the right word. Using those resources has to occur on the surface of the moon. So you get the resources and use them in that situ, because it is completely unpractical to bring them back here on Earth. So just get this thing out of your head. So if you are wondering if this company is the same that tried to land again a lander on the moon, yes, that's the same company. Basically, that's the same. And that mission, if you're not remembering it, was called Akuto R M1. Well, M1 is the name of the rover. Akuto R is the name of the mission. Which in 2023, so last year, tried to land a rover on the surface of the moon, but the thing failed because the rover just seemed to impact the surface of the moon. If you are not remembered, let's say the dynamics of the thing, basically an error occurred during the estimation of the altitude from the surface of the satellite of the moon, because the rover estimated a wrong altitude due to the fact that the surface of the moon is quite, I would say, morphologically very, very complicated. You have a lot of rocks, a lot of different terrain configuration. So if you're using a radar altimeter or a LiDAR, as it was used in this mission, you have to be very, very careful in the data you are acquiring. There is a lot of noise inside this data, and basically the algorithm estimated an altitude which was very, very low virtually, but actually the rover was soaring the surface something like 200 meters, and basically the algorithm just gave a command to shut off, well, not really shut off, but starting the landing procedure, something like it was very, very close to the surface, well, something like 2 or 3 meters. Actually, it was 100 times that height, and just the rover fell basically and impacted over the surface. Well, this company will try again in the second or third quarter, this is an estimation of 2024, so this year, to land again basically something like very similar to the first rover, something like the same rover, and they will try to land again this rover on the surface of the moon. I hope that they will be successful because they really deserve it. And again, the mission we were talking at the beginning, so putting 2 satellites around the moon and landing a rover, so will be the next 2 missions of this company, and I hope that they will be successful. And so good luck. We'll release different another episode of this podcast or this YouTube video. So let me know in the comments or write a review if you're listening us on Spotify. Just tell me if you're interested in this topic, so I can let you know. Today we can just pass on in another topic. This is the third if you're looking, and this is a different one, the second one actually. And I would like to talk about China, which is sort of a hot topic nowadays. If you're looking on YouTube in video, I'm talking about an article that was published on space.com, and the title is China's Tiangong space station damaged by debris strike. This is a report. It was published by Elizabeth Howell on April 24th of 2024, so again, also this one last week. And we can know just from the beginning that astronauts, I don't know how to call them, because astronauts are on the western side of the world. We call them cosmonaut if you're talking about Russian, but I will just refer to them as astronaut. And they repaired the damage on Tiangong space station with. They needed 2 different EVAs, so extracurricular activities, which means space work. And I'm using so much word because I strongly invite you to visit our website and look for our interview to Nicholas Brennan, who is a trainer in the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, NASA facility, training astronauts. So if you're curious about this topic, just visit our website. There is a beautiful interview, you'll find it there. But don't lose too much time, and let's talk about this repair on the Tiangong space station. We can see some images thanks to CMSA, which is the Chinese manned space agency, who reported as that a debris impacted their station, and the astronaut, well, they were able to actually repair, and it was also the damage was classified as minor, not so let's say alarming, but was a minor one, and caused a partial loss of power supply on the station. So the 2 spacewalks were enough to repair the damage, and we know that they were successful. And thanks to this, usually China is not very open to release data on their website, on their media. So we don't have that much information as usual. This time is quite strange because we seem to know more than usual. But again, that's I would say a nominal thing nowadays. It is becoming more and more common that debris impact objects in orbit, and it is quite strange that we have this information from China, but this recalls us what happened with the ISS, International Space Station, which lost a major debris, not so small, indeed not small at all, because it was big enough to pass through the atmosphere and fall, impact the terrain. If I'm remembering well, the impact occurred in Europe, maybe in Italy, I'm not sure. It was the last year, and this just tell us that basically we are producing more and more debris. The debris are, I would say, partially almost something like natural, because it happens that sometimes you have malfunctions, sometimes you have glitches, issues, so it can happen. But for sure, the increasing quantity of objects we are putting into space should alarm us, at least, because we should be very, very careful, particularly about the, I would say, commercial commercial object that we are putting into space. At least we should adopt some policies, some guidelines to limit the fact that we are putting more and more objects in space, and they should be controlled as much as possible, because this is kind of damage that can happen. Usually they impact unmanned satellite. You have I would say unpleasant situation because you're losing money, communication services, and all those things. But this time you have humans on board. We are talking about China's Tiangong space station. We could be talking about International Space Station. But we have seen, as I was saying, that this debris can also come back on Earth. They don't always fall into, I would say, unmanned waters like the oceans, but they can also impact the ground, and humans can be down there and get the impact. Now, I would just change the topic before going to the last one, the third of today. I'm just letting you know that we have just released and increased our merchandise offering on the website we use for the merchandise. You can reach to it by looking for www.spaceinfo.club. So you visit our website and just look for the products and the merchandise down there. You just came up to this page. Also visit our Instagram page. There is a link also there. You can see we have our standard merchandise and some special graphics. These ones were already released in the past, so they are available for some time, but we have new entries now this week. We have the Smoky Astronauts collection. I love it. I've also shown I would say a physical result on the Instagram page of SpaceInfo, so just look for the stories out there and see the merchandise. I love it. I hope you love it too, and if you want, you can get yours here by visiting this website, which is teespring.com/stores/SpaceInfo. But don't worry, if it's too long, too complicated to remember, just visit www.spaceinfo.club, our official and only one website, and you get the link down there. Last topic of today. Now we are on the website of channelnewsasia.com, where a very inspiring title, I would say, "To the Moon, Mars and Beyond. Could China's soaring space ambitions be hampered by Earth factors?" Well, because China's, I would use this article to, I would say, to introduce a topic. We are still talking about China. This article was published by Wang Wenxin on the 29th of April 2024, so it was a couple of days ago from when I'm recording this episode, and I'm using this article to talk about China again. Yes, again talking about China, and I'm saying that their ambitions are becoming more and more concrete. They're becoming more and more real, because as you can see from this graph, China's space launches have been increasing a lot in time. Starting from 2014, they were less than 20 launches per year, something which was constant for 3-4 years up to 2017. In 2018, they almost doubled, up to 40 launches per year, and then in 2022 they became more than 60, and in 2024, this year, they have been around 100. But I would like to make you notice that today is the 30th of April, so it's just 4 months into the year, and so if they just continue with this rhythm, there will be 300 before the end of the year, and this is a very, very nice launch rate, I would say, for China. They are becoming more and more proficient in the technology, in the launches. So if you are recalling the past years, you were quite used to see some images like this one that you can see now on the YouTube video, when they were used to launch their rockets from paths basically in the middle of their country. But on the trajectory, on the liftoff trajectory of the rocket, there were a lot of villages which were the victim of the failed launches, most of the cases. So civil victims were not so unusual in the country. They tried to, let's say, hide the result of the rocket launches, but the whole world knew what was happening, more or less. At least we knew that there were victims in the space launches. But today, no one has has no more talking about the self-landing rocket which they showed some months ago. So maybe they are going to be successful. Maybe they are no more capable to replicate their result. They are still working on the technology. I'm betting on that for sure. But also this is a sign that some years ago, again, for example, in 2014, China's technology was not that mature. They did not know, they didn't have that know-how, the capability to launch well-executed space launches, to put things into orbit and humans and satellites, and they lost the control of the Tiangong space station. If you remember this, I remember for sure. They put a lot of space debris in orbit. They are still there, but now they seem to have reached that capability, that technical capability to put things in space, to let that things in orbit, and to become proficient, and they have acquired that capability. They are being able to replicate it in time. So if some time ago China was not that I would say warning powerful country under the space technology side, because they tried to put things on rocket and put them into orbit. Now they are becoming more and more capable. I would say that they have definitely acquired their capability. So people are saying that their political instability, they are not yet that capable, but I'm seeing that China is ramping up on this trend. They are becoming more and more capable, and what worries me is the fact that they are still quite willing to stay isolated with respect to the rest of the world, even more isolated than Russia. And this staying into their country, developing their technology, can be quite dangerous for themselves, but also for the rest of the world. So that's a fact. Maybe some people say that they have stolen technology from different countries. This may be true, this may be not. I have my personal opinion. I keep it for myself. Just let me know in the comment what you think. What's your opinion? Let's discuss there. Maybe let's discuss in a live video or in another video or podcast in the future. I have mine. I hope that you'll let me know what you think about this. But the fact, and I'll finish now, the fact is that China is becoming more and more capable. They are acquiring that know-how, and that's a fact. We are seeing them putting things in orbit, working there. They also landed a rover on the moon. A lot of private companies, of the western side of the world weren't capable of landing things on the moon. China was capable of doing this, and that's a fact. Hope to see you again in another video, or that you're listening our podcast. Please share them with your friends. I see a lot of people are appreciating our content, particularly on Spotify. I hope that this newly launched channel on YouTube will be successful as well, and hope to see you or hear you next time. See you. Thanks for listening. Bye.